I believe so. He was out doing the press conference. I'm not sure if he's still out there or not, but I can check with Rick.
And we're missing Councilmember Sacklin.
Correct. And we just have 1 minute to go.
Oh, okay. Well, for God's sakes, we don't want to start on time. Councilmember Seekings, that's a new background. He can't hear us.
That's right. Y'all got something on the meeting too?
Yeah, for public safety.
I really, probably like the fire department. Building.
Beth,
Yes, sir.
are you going to carry the discussion on Station 11?
Yes, sir, I will.
Okay. And I know Jason's off this week, right? He's not available.
I believe he is, but we do have Edmund on this call as well.
Yeah, that's right. I thought Edmund was going to be on vacation as well.
I believe he was supposed to be.
I hope I didn't know his vacation plans.
Yes, I just came from City Hall, so this is my vacation.
And is Jared joining us? I see Jason Kronsberg's on the call.
Excuse me, council member. I was going to call you mayor. I just got an email from him, and he is planning on joining us momentarily.
Councilmember Sackler, I haven't seen you in a couple of weeks, and goodness, you have changed.
Yes, I stopped growing hair here and started growing hair here.
Are you and Councilmember Shealy having a contest?
We are.
I think you are. To see whose beard is whiter, is that the idea?
Well, we'll see what happens.
Okay. Well, we'll just wait a few more minutes for the mayor to join in.
Mr. Chairman, Rick said he should be on shortly.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am. I presume everybody has very modest plans for Thanksgiving this year in our new normal.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't like it, but yeah, it'll be an abbreviated group because we usually have a big Thanksgiving. So.
Yeah, I just means more leftovers on Friday morning.
That's right.
Jared Garreau's on this now. He's on the call.
Okay, is Tracy on with us? I don't see. Oh, there she is, right in front of me. Yeah, you are, Tracy.
I'm here.
I see you. There you are. I'm right in the middle of my screen. Jared's on. Rick, any more information on the mayor?
I hear him right outside my door.
But tell him we're waiting for him.
I hear those dulcet tones. Why don't you just begin?
All right. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Public Safety Committee meeting on this November 23rd, Monday before Thanksgiving. I'm going to call on Councilmember Sacklin, if you don't mind, sir, to either lead us in a moment of silence or a prayer.
We'll just do a short moment of silence today. Thank you.
Amen. Thank you. All right. We have our minutes from October the 28th, 2020. They were rather extensive. Do I hear a motion to accept the minutes of the October 28th meeting?
Move for approval.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Any
Aye.
opposed? The ayes have it. Okay. All right. So Tracy, we're going to jump right into with you as to the open data policy.
Great. Good afternoon, everyone. I wanted to just walk everybody through kind of the 10,000 foot level, if you will, of a draft of an open data policy, which is really about creating a more open and transparent government. So, kind of wanted to hit on what's the ask first. So today really is just an introduction. You all should have gotten a draft of the policy kind of in your packets. I don't know if you've had time to look through it, but again, just get your input and feedback at this point, talk through concerns that you all have. And this version does have a lot of influence from both the legal team as well as IT. So they were very instrumental in putting together the draft that you all have. Ideally, I'm hoping we can get, with your feedback, a lot of good feedback, and get to a version that you all are happy and excited about, and put something to council in early 2021. So that's the ultimate goal. Really, one quick change alert, and this was my fault. I accidentally sent Jennifer a slightly old copy of the policy. So there is a slight adjustment to section 2C, and I'll make sure that we get out the most current draft to you all for review, but it's just a slight change, but I did want to point that out to y'all. So, a little bit about why open data. I don't know if any of you are familiar with other cities and their open data policies, but there are quite a few cities around the country that have open data policies. And this was really kind of, I guess, brought to us initially through our work with Bloomberg Philanthropies. It's one of the elements that they use to give out their What Works Cities certification. And so in our work with Bloomberg, it really illustrated for us how important an open data policy is. And I also, in my work in Baltimore, when I was the chief data officer, part of my job there was actually to implement their open data policy. So I was able to kind of take from that policy and change some things that I knew that maybe weren't ideal there, that I thought could work a little bit better. And also take that experience and try to bake that into the draft that's before you as well. But so why even go down this path? Number one, obviously, if we're putting information out there for citizens or really anyone to view and download, it's going to reduce the number of FOIA inquiries. And I'm sure any of you that work in the legal field in your day jobs are probably pretty familiar with how many those can be and how cumbersome they can be as well. So relieving some of that burden from the legal team and staff can be very beneficial. It can also reduce costs and create efficiencies. When I first started the city, our data was for sale. And so the only people that could buy the GIS data were developers. So it wasn't really readily accessible to citizens. And of course, as developers bought it, they were buying it to do big projects, right? So they would in turn, that cost just got passed on to the homeowner or the business that was going to be taking advantage of whatever work that developer was doing. So it was almost like we were really the citizens just kind of lost out by selling the data. So we've come a long way, I think, in just from that time. And so that's a good thing, but there's still a lot that can be moved forward with a good open data policy. It's also having open data can really stimulate new ideas and services. It can really act as fuel for new solutions and even new businesses that can help address common problems or challenges that we're facing as a community. We saw that quite a bit in Baltimore. And actually in Baltimore, there was a whole annual full day called Data Day that was really built around the city's open data program. And it wasn't even hosted or put on by the city. It was actually a nonprofit just to bring the community together to learn about the open data program and how to use it to their benefit and for the benefit of the community. So it can be pretty powerful. Can also increase internal data sharing, right? So if the information is available to the public, that cross communication between departments can sometimes be a little bit easier by having it publicly available. It can also improve data quality. The more people that are viewing the data, the more people that are using it, you get that feedback then. So humans are entering the data. We're not perfect, right? So there's always errors in data. So having it more widely available to where you can get input and feedback on it really helps to improve the overall quality. And really just changes how we use data, right? So how we share, consume, it can transform, we can use data to transform our services. It can foster continuous improvement. So there's really a lot of benefits to a good, solid open data program. Really quickly, just a little bit of our history with open data. We first began releasing public data. We kind of built this homegrown application back in 2013. We then kind of migrated to a better platform built by Esri, which is our GIS software that we use. We did that in 2016 and worked with Chief Mullen to actually become an active member of the White House Police Data Initiative, or PDI initiative, out of the White House. So that was a really great kind of entry point into open data in the city. And so now a lot of the data is available through a data portal, not all of it, but there's quite a lot that's there, but we still have a lot of work to do. So a little bit about what we do have. So there's a main GIS data portal with the link there. There's actually about 50 data sets on there already that's available for viewing. You can kind of do a little bit of analysis with it, download it, and it's also available via an API or an app. It's a standard application programming interface that really allows individuals to build tools or apps with that data and have regular access to it. So it's really a good way to share it with your technology companies. So we're also getting ready to launch OpenGov, and the BFRC team has been working really hard on this. Susan Petit has been kind of doing the heavy lifting on this. She couldn't be available today, so I'll cover it as best I can. But if you guys have specific questions about OpenGov, I'm more than happy to get those to Susan and get back to you with an answer. So what OpenGov is it's a product that we bought, I believe, maybe 2 years ago, but it's really intended to be our online financial transparency dashboard. You'll be able, you and any citizen will be able to analyze, share, and compare financial and performance data. It's actually going to be linked real time to our financial management system. So everything will be available real time and available in a user-friendly format that makes it easier, I should say, to understand. And there'll be interactive reports and charts and graphs available to all the end users. And that's right now scheduled to go live in January of 2021. So I know the team's been working really hard to put that out first quarter next year. So those are the two ways that we're currently sharing data. And so why do we need a policy? I think there's a lot of individuals that are very committed to open data and trying to make sure that we have an open and transparent government. But I think memorializing that is an important thing to do, so that it does transcend that individual commitment to sharing data. But it also defines the roles, responsibilities, and accountability mechanisms for an open data program. So this is my last slide. So a little bit about how this works. It's a very thorough and thoughtful process. An open data program is not about just, kind of throwing all of your data out for the public tomorrow. So the first, it's very, all departments are involved. And so every department would identify a data coordinator. And the first real step is to do a citywide data inventory. We have to know what we have in order to know whether we have a successful open data program or not. And really, this is a really just positive step in good data governance, right? We should know what we have, we should know who's responsible for it, and we should know what's in it and where it's stored and how it's secured. So once we have that inventory complete, we actually go through and look at all the data, see how relevant it is to the public, how if there's regular inquiries or FOIA requests for that particular data set, so that kind of elevates it as far as wanting to publish it. And then we look at, does it contain sensitive data? Does it contain protected data? Is it something that we should, that we really need to be either not share at all or share in some aggregated form or fashion? So once we kind of do a thorough review, departments will identify what data sets are ready or should be publicly available. And then we work to create an annual publishing plan. So this takes a number of years to get through, right? So each department may only have 1 or 2 data sets a year that they work to publish, because once we've identified those data sets, we work with IT to make sure that we're following all the IT and cybersecurity protocols. But we also want to make sure the process is automated so that there's not human failure that can get in the way of these data sets being made available. And most importantly, there's a manual, and I'm more than happy to share a link to that manual with everyone. I've got a draft of that's a 20-page document that basically outlines everyone's responsibilities and kind of what the whole process really looks like. And with that, I'm happy to try to answer any questions you all might have.
Thank you, Tracy, for doing that. And this is a good step in the right direction for transparency, full transparency, and for our citizens to have access to government records. And that's, I think, the general sense of doing all of this. And I just will pick up, Tracy, on this last slide about the inventory, knowing what we have and knowing what we don't have, which will include things that are in archives as well, I would presume, for citizens to have access to that type of information is important. What I would like to do before I open it up to committee members to jump in on this is call on, I see we have a lot of lawyers on our call today. So Susan, I'm going to start with you from our legal department. If you've got some insight on this, particular how this pairs with Freedom of Information Act component, and also and I talked to Chief Reynolds, one of my concerns would be police investigations and private citizen information that are contained. That was part of what Tracy was talking about earlier, that we constituted as sensitive material. So Susan, you want to give us another kickoff on this thing and some more insight from your perspective?
Yes, sir. Thank you. So as Tracy mentioned, we have been reviewing this policy for a number of months. Stalled a little bit when the COVID-19 issues hit us hard. But now obviously this is back on track again. And one of the, I'd say one of the positive aspects of the open data program is that I think it will eventually make life easier for us in responding to FOIAs. If we can simply say the data is available online already, or over time, the citizens will learn where they can get the data and they won't need to submit as many FOIAs. So that's the good news. I think realistically, the challenge that we've been having is to try to work through exactly how legal would become involved in potentially sensitive matters. Matters that would be withheld under FOIA, would be withheld pursuant to FOIA or based upon some other statute. So that's going to be, you know, a little bit tougher to deal with. Same thing with the police department documents that are sensitive or confidential. And so we'll be, you know, we'll be working on that as this process goes along. And at this point, as Tracy said, this is a draft. It's a good draft, but you know, we are continuing to review it, and I think all the department heads will, you know, want to take another look at it as we get closer to having a formal policy to present to you all for approval. Thank you.
Thanks, Susan. Chief Reynolds, you and I chatted about this earlier this morning. You want to add some little insight to this as well?
Sure. I think as Tracy already said, I know that the mayor wants to be an open government, which I think is consistent with the best practices. There was a 21st Century Policing Commission under President Obama that identified key areas, and one of them was open data and the White House Data Initiative that Tracy referenced. I actually was in the White House a couple times related to that. And it's something in our industry that I think has been embraced as a practice, a best practice, if you will, a good practice. So I think we're well on our way, thanks to Chief Mullen and Jason Bruder, I know is a big part of it, and others. But there's certainly a lot more we need to do. As she said also, I think we have to be very careful as we step down this path. There's a lot of legal issues, a lot of reviews that have to occur. And if we go too quickly, we can actually create more problems and more questions and more confusion. But I'm fully committed to this. I think it's a great idea. I think it's a great practice as a government. And I think that having a central leader like Tracy will help us all, because a lot of our data sets interact with each other. The FOIA is a great example. I think in the long run, by automating that, people can have access to police reports, traffic accident reports, and other things online. But there's also some legal issues and concerns with that have to be deconflicted and resolved whenever there's a data set that goes out. And there's really got to have to be a central filter for that decision-making process. And for us, it's going to be helpful to be a part of the overall city web portal and as we make our public-facing dashboard more automated and more professional. I think it's going to help a lot to have Wes and Tracy and others behind that, because we don't really have those capabilities, and it's necessary, I think, to really have a robust open data initiative. So I think it's a great start. And I think it's going to be a lot of work from all of us. But I think it's a good idea, and I'm excited to make what we have even better. There's a lot more I think can do and need to do. And this is going to help us accomplish that.
Thank you, Chief. All right, so I'm going to open this back up to council members and Councilmember Seekings. Any comments, insights, or questions you have?
I don't have any questions. Just thank you for the update. Keep up the good and hard work, and look forward to seeing the final product.
All right, very good. Councilmember Shealy?
No real questions, but thank you for all of your work on here. I mean, I think it'll be a useful tool for city council members also. You know, I think it'd be good for us to be able to have that data and be able to look it up when we can, as well as anybody. So thank you. Appreciate it.
Okay. Councilmember Sacklin?
Thanks, Tracy. Just to echo Kevin's or Councilmember Shealy's point, having access to the data would be very helpful for a city council member, and certainly for the public, that's gonna be a great thing. So thanks for the work. Very good. Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor. Yes, sir.
So, thank you, Tracy, and for your work on this. The obvious is that, you know, all the data, all the numbers we compile as a municipal government really belongs to the public. And, you know, to be as transparent as we possibly can is just the right thing to do. Now, I'll admit to you that It means some vulnerability. You know, over time, we'll be putting out some statistics about things that we might not even be that proud of. If you knew the number of trash cans that we got to go out and pick up every week for repair, it would surprise you. And people will say, well, gee, y'all can be doing a better job. But the flip side of that is, I've read a number of stories of cities around the country that have flipped that vulnerability into drawing on the expertise of people outside of government. Oh, you've got a problem with that issue? I know something about that. They pull down data, come up even with software and programs, just volunteering. It's amazing some of the success stories that have come out of a more of an open data approach. So in addition, I must say that as Tracy outlined, our progression over the last 5 or 6 years already have been to share more data. It started, as she said, with the police department and the White House effort some years ago, and the Open Gov system that will be rolling out the first of the year. You know, that's been in the works for a little while. So it's important for us to sit back and do a little thinking time and a little protocol setting time. So as we continue this evolution of providing more data, that we are careful and thoughtful about not letting out confidential data or data that really we shouldn't be, as Susan and others have mentioned. So to pull the policy together as we go forward, it's not an overnight thing, all this open data business, but over the years it will evolve. We need the policy in place to define how you know, a future data set gets released and how and why and what gets included and what not. So this is a very necessary step, as far as I'm concerned, to the path of not just being transparent, but to helping us be more efficient in the long run.
Thank you, Mayor. Chief Curry, I didn't want to leave you out. If you had any input or questions or suggestions as well.
No, sir. I appreciate the opportunity to comment. I think Tracy's presented this before in maybe an ACE team meeting.
Okay, very good. Well, Tracy, it looks like then the next step would be for you to go back and have more powwow with department heads over some of the questions and concerns with this. Be back in contact with the legal counsel on insight and information that we need to be safeguarding, as well as accomplishing the goal, as the mayor said, transparency and efficiency with this policy. So good start. Some steady, heavy questions to be taken into consideration, but we want our citizens to have the ability to access this information. If I don't hear any more comments or concerns, I'm ready to move on to the next item on our agenda. And I would entertain a motion to go into executive session to get an update on 2 fire stations.
So moved.
There a second?
Second.
Okay, all those in favor?